and some kind of engage, maybe even a Thresh to complement the Elise. But instead they went for the Janna, and so many mistakes in that draft.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can fix them here because we are Insta-Champ select for game number 2. Seeing a swap sides over, of course. Legacy now on the red versus Sin blue, and there's another Anivia ban. Gangplank going to follow. Graves there, the ban from Sin, though I do like that adaptation.
I definitely like the Graves ban. It's just to get it away from Carbon.
Yep.
The way that he played with the pressure that he put onto Juves really put him down, and Sin weren't able to rotate and help him.
Well, pretty far through the bans already. Actually, we're done. Trundle ban, Alistar ban, Malphite ban. Again, that Malphite ban sort of sticks out as a Oceanic special, but first pick Lulu for Sin know exactly what they want.
Yeah, and even banning away the Trundle from Strawbella, so 2 adaptive bans here away from Legacy, and it goes to show that with all 3 being target bans, champions like Lulu are readily left available for that first rotation.
Yep, but we still have that Lissandra that we saw last game that's seen a ton of play all around the Rift in different regions. But Legacy, of course, about 30 seconds to determine where they want to go. I mean, I would pick Lissandra. Choose look great on it, and they can still flex it for Tally.
I mean, your best bet is probably Lissandra Rek'Sai.
Yep.
I think in this first rotation. Juice probably going to default to Elise. Rek'Sai, very good champion, and actually the most played competitively across all major regions. So by a substantial margin, at least 15 extra games on Rek'Sai. So a strong champion all around, has that early pressure that Carbon was also putting into place, and keep Juves down.
Well, there's the Lissandra hover at least for now. They do lock it in, so there is going to be the pick once more. I wonder if Carbon might even do something like go to Lee Sin, because he did seem to like aggression mode. There we go. Carbon Lee Sin.
Yeah, of course. Maintain the aggression. Juve still should be defaulting to a Rek'Sai or Elise. Confident, very capable solo jungling champion, and the biggest thing that needs to change in this game is Sin actually rotating to help him and actually placing more emphasis on vision around general areas, and this is a much more Sin style draft.
Yep, you can see Rogue there with the Thresh. There's the Rek'Sai. Very comfort champion there for Rogue on Thresh, and a little bit more in the meta. The Janna felt a bit out of place, but made sense in their comp, I suppose. And Rek'Sai, perfectly good against Lee Sin. Heard it on the desk from Destiny. Definitely a comfort pick there for Juve, so I agree. Much better start already.
Yeah, definitely. They've got crowd control. They've got early pressure to complement one another. And if they were to put the lane swap into effect, Thresh has a bit more of an impact across the entire map, whereas Janna kind of holds the hand of the AD carry and says, this is how you take turrets quicker. Just gives him a shield.
Yep. You can see King going to hover to Ezreal once more. Might go back to it here. And of course, can still give it to a solo lane if they want to pick it early and not reveal their potential counter pick. 20 seconds or so for Legacy to decide on these particular picks. I mean, Ezreal, just fine. I think King's going to be comfortable wherever they want to put him, so why not pick it? If you had a good game, might as well take it once more.
Absolutely right, and they should probably just go for the support here with it. Flex mid lane as their last pick option, force Rymeister into a champion that may well be the Lulu, but we don't know just yet until they lock in their last draft, and there it is.
Yep, Ezreal Braum, which is still ambiguous, of course. They could put Ezreal in the mid lane versus the AD carry, but after game 1 from King, I'm sure he's comfortable taking it again. And we don't have an AD carry just yet here for Sin, so potentially trying to counterpick there as well. Rogue's going to flash Shaco. Probably not going to be the pick there, but you never know.
You would wager it's going to be Lucian. Kalista on 6.1, which is the patch we are on again, has been nerfed a little bit. The E max on Kalista kind of affects laning phase and honestly ruins any capabilities of trading. So interesting decisions have to be made here from Sin. Do they default to what worked for them in the Lucian? And to be fair, Kadra didn't actually play poorly at all.
No,
he did his job.
Perfectly fine. Maybe they want a slightly harder carry. We heard about Tristana. He's a comfort pick for him. Caitlyn, every now and then, feels like she has a slot in this metagame, but no one's really picked her up, and Kadra's a very comfy Caitlyn player. So plenty of options, of course, for Sin, but they have to blind pick that mid lane, like you mentioned. Could be another long-range carry here for Rymeister. It'd be so weird to see him go from Ziggs then to Xerath.
Yeah, I feel like he would be stuck 2 seasons in the past. That's more
Here
Rymeister.
we go. This is more Sin in general. Vayne for Kadra, Yasuo for Rymeister, and Chooch is, of course, now going to get his counter pick.
It's like they've started with this standard, like perfect, normal draft, and then they've just gone, hang on, where's Sin? Let's forget that. Let's just go straight into the Vayne, straight into that Yasuo. On the assumption that it's going to be the Lissandra mid lane, Yasuo struggles a little bit as the lane continues, but should be perfectly fine early, and Sin Gaming, the only thing they're really missing now is wave clear if they don't have their top laner.
Televac is having a bit of fun, but yep, you're right. Wave clear could be an issue, but we'll have to see. As Legacy just trying to lock down this final pick. Yeah, I saw Poppy. I was like, okay. I imagine that Vitaly's champion. I do like to see that he's gone at least back to Fiora for game 1, so a bit more on the carry side of things, but Tally, of course, back in the top lane now. Plenty of champions to play. Probably not going to be Bard. I'm going to push that one out there gently, but we'll wait and see. Legacy got 5 seconds left to decide on this pick.
Well, of course, Braum is still going to be there, so
could be top
no
Braum.
real chance of
there we go.
because that makes a lot of sense. That makes
wow.
a bit less, but it's still good.
Well, do swap to Varus, actually, so I imagine that is going to be Tally's Lysandra this time around. Poke up against that Yasuo. It could be a bit awkward every now and then for Varus, but should be just a fine lane.
We have a very defined function of when you can use your ultimate as Varus in this matchup, when you can go in, and it's very easy to use your piercing arrows until the wind wall is no longer available. We know Choo Choo is very good on Varus. We've seen him play it in the past in the last splits of the OPL, so playing it into Rymeister's Yasuo, it's going to be difficult for him to execute on early, but the more that Choo Choo scales, the less he needs to be interactive with a Yasuo at all.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Rymeister's, you can see even with the Ignite that he's hovering there, not looking to do anything other than try and pressure this lane and get some kills and really start to carry. He's a big carry for his team. We did expect maybe a harder carry champion in game number 1. Went for the Ziggs, gone straight back to one of his old standbys, Yasuo here. He's going to have to come up big with Cardred in this game. Sin are putting all the eggs in the 2 carry basket.
And it's actually a really good composition here from Sin. They've got the Lulu, they've got the Rek'Sai, and even Threshflay to an extent to help engage with Rymeister on this Yasuo. Of course, not even taking into account Rymeister's own tornadoes with Yasuo's Q. So they've got a lot of means essentially to have a successful team fight. And I feel like they could get it done no matter how many people are going to be there. 3, 4, 5v5s, it doesn't matter.
Well, we'll have to find out here. You can see the lineups on your screen. And of course, get those hashtags out on Twitter. Hashtag SinWin or hashtag LGCWin for Sin and Legacy respectively. Don't forget, of course, you can use the hashtag IamOPL and keep sending us your dragon name suggestions. We did enjoy some of those.
I think Darren was the favorite so far.
Well, we'll have to see.
I like it. I like Darren.
You would.
It rhymes. So it goes with Darren. Darren and Darren.
Well, I guess we'll find out shortly. But we do have a game to play in the meantime here. Possibly 2, of course. Sin do find themselves down a game here in this best of 3. Legacy up after a very strong performance in the first one. But can Sin bring it back? It have gone back to basics, it feels like. Comfort picks on the carries. Very straightforward pick here. But we're going to hear a bit from Drews before we get into it.
Carbon, I find Carbon to be overly aggressive at times. Once again, he's a really good jungler, but he can be punished with his over-aggression. In saying that, yes, he is a good player.
Drews telling like it is, I suppose. Definitely felt the aggressive end of Carbon in game number 1.
I like that he calmed down and just had an almost sarcastic laugh at the end, though. It's like, Carbon, he's a great player. I can exploit him and we can beat him, but he's great.
Well, we'll see if Drews can have maybe a bit better game here, of course. Carbon not letting off on the aggressive streak, that's for sure. Lee Sin over Graves with the ban being taken out there by Sin, so we'll see how he performs on the champion. Rek'Sai, though, very comfy, just fine in the jungle matchup, and a perfectly good pick here for Juve. So we'll see if he can cope some of that pressure, maybe even punish Carbon. We talked about aggression. Paid off for him in game 1, but could see if he can exploit that here on the other end, as Cardred and Rogue are going to help out here on the Krugs. In fact, we're going to have mirrored starts here, so it looks like Krugs into red for these junglers.
I think one major difference is going to be that the bottom lane of Legacy are taking their own Gromp, whereas we've got Tally helping Carbon on the top side. Probably work towards bottom. Might go towards Juve's blue buff. We'll see where Carbon actually makes that choice, because they are very much aware of having standard lanes in about 10 seconds if Chippy decides to show himself.
Yep, does look like it will be 2v2 this time around. Carbon finishing off those Krugs though, and top laners will meet, so no lane swap this time around. Outer turret should stay up for a little while longer. Carbon though going to start taking away that red buff, and Vayne versus Ezreal, haven't seen this one in a while. Kind of a throwback matchup, actually.
Yeah, and it's actually a matchup that you'd say starter favors the Vayne. It starts to favor the Vayne the later it goes in the lane. Once you get more items, you can engage and successfully dodge a lot of Ezreal spells. That's the major difference here. Tumble, very, very important in this match.
Yeah, you can see Cardred does have it. Probably going to max it here as well, as Rymeister's getting that level 2 aggression in. Looking for the tornado. He's going to miss it, but pressuring that wave nice and early, pushing it all the way into the turret.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. Choo Choo's, he'll be perfectly fine having that corrupting potion. And that's basically why Rymeister was being so aggressive. Level 2 Yasuo power spike, that and a lack of health bar available for Choo Choo's, but having the exhaust as well in this 1v1 matchup mid.
Oh, he did actually swap it up. Had TP from the last game, I suppose, but does take the more appropriate summoner spell. So not going to have as much pressure. That's going to be up to Tally this time around. Oh, trouble in mid lane. Juves is going to come in. Rymeister takes good damage there from Choose's poke, but Juves is there just to make sure nothing too bad happens.
Of course, we'll call this a standard Juves game.
Yep.
Needs to focus Rymeister, and rightly so, of course. Rymeister, a massive carry for his team. Carbon's placed that ward down, but Juves is about to spot it if he burrows over anyway. He's got the Raptor sense there.
Yep. Now Carbon going top lane, actually. might give Chippies enough info to infer that there is actually a jungler up here. Tally going to move in for it. Snare does land. Chippies could be in trouble here. They're going to try and bait the flash out first. Do get the slow, and that's massive damage. Q does land. Chippies trying to flash out of the way, but flash forward from Tally, and first blood.
Every time a Lee Sin ganks, you play a giant mind game with yourself of when is he going to throw the Q? When can I flash that Q? And unfortunately, Chippies mind gamed himself into death, opposed to actually dodging that Sonic wave. Very well done here from Legacy. They knew exactly where the Rek'Sai was, so a safe first kill.
Yep, did have to trade the flash there for Tally as well, but he's going to keep his TP potentially as Chippies did just come back into the lane with his. And that's going to give Legacy a nice bit of extra gold into Tally's pockets as well. So a good start. Blasting one picked up there. Looks like Rod of Ages once again is now a wraparound in the mid lane. Choo Choo's could be in trouble. He's going to get the force splash, but Firemaster moves in. Exhaust is good, but Choo Choo's is dead. But here comes the Tally, and Tally collects it. Now going to keep chasing. Might get a double. Does not have his flash, and the path is down. Juves should be able to get to safety, but the rest of the team are chasing. Strawbella going to look for the flash. Doesn't land it. Does go in now. Q will land, and now Tally swoops in for the auto. Gets the kill.
Lysandra getting the second kill, of course. Strawbella MVP on that, getting the max range Q on that Braum. We're going to see how it all happens one more time. Remember, Choo Choo's with the exhaust denies a lot of damage from Rymeister straight into a teleport, and this is the strength of Tally. Actually, just avoiding that wind wall as well with his claw. A little bit lucky, but very well played from Legacy all in all.
And again, great team play here, using those teleports nice and effectively. They knew that Chippies didn't have his, so that was a good fight for Tally to take. We keep talking about the power of Lysandra, I feel like, Rusty, but Tally now going to be the one to show it off as double tiers out for Legacy. There is something to note about their comp. Yeah. They're going to have a bit of a delay here in that early game while those items power up.
And it's going to be very interesting to see how that works. 3 pink wards as well as having all of those tiers. They are looking at around the 20-minute power spike type of timing, and they'll really be smashing their way through Sin if they get those and maintain the lead that Tally's already got for them. The thing with that is between Lee Sin on Carbon and Tally on this Lysandra, they can bridge that power spike very easily. They can set them up on the throne and just gift them this power spike.
That they can. 3-1 now up for Legacy, and 1,000 gold ahead already with no turrets taken out just yet. So that's pretty much all Tally's gold at this point. He's got all 3 of the kills. He'll have that Rod of Ages up very, very soon. And Sin are going to have to just play back a bit here. Carbon going mid, looking for Rymeister. Does land in, but no kick. And that Tornado there does try and bait it. Just keeping pressure up on mid lane.
Standard Lee Sin players. You calm down, Carbon.
Nice win wall. Gonna block out some of that poke here. It needs to pump safely under the turret. Does clear it out. Rymeister will get stronger here. Even went double Dorans just because of the lane.
In a comfortable position, Rymeister. He's still going to be susceptible to a lot of poke that comes out of the Varus. Not always that comfortable if the poke does hit in rapid succession, because of very low cooldown for Choo Choo's with that Q.
Especially with that blue buff, which he did get, of course. Juves has his own team's blue, which makes sense, because Rymeister doesn't need it this time.
Yasuo, yeah.
Sorry, I just remember the horrors of last game.
Not again.
Cardred and Rogue in a bit of trouble. Strawbella does get the tag down onto Rogue. One auto not there. Good condemn there from Cardred. Going to stymie some of that aggression. But King again, 10 CS ahead with a tier. Just loves to play aggressively no matter the champion.
The fact that he's 10 ahead with the tier says a lot about how powerful Braum really is in this landing phase. Look at the pressure that they can put down just from threatening the stun.
Cardred has to be a bit careful. Almost got stunned up there, and you can see Q just landing left, right, and center for Strawbella. Calibrated those skill shots quite nicely. Tagging Juves earlier for that kill, and now down in the bottom lane, just shucking them out.
I was going to call them heat seeking, and then I realized it's
very
ice
cold
related.
Yep.
So there's no such thing as like ice seeking.
Well,
he's out of the bush, Carbon.
Chippy's in trouble, maybe. Tally has ulti. Isn't quite in range to use it, unfortunately. Chippies will get out this time.
That was unlucky. Carbon was out of the bush when he stood there waiting for the gank, so had to go. Bella.
Ooh. Good tag back there. Rymeister not there in time to potentially combo in for an ulti. Juve's down here as well. This could just be a dive. There is no TP up for Tally. Oh, King. Good check. Very good check. Good Q as well from Strawbella.
No basically get out with nothing achieved here from Sin. And again, Juve's not having that flash because of the gank that happened in the middle lane. Sets them up here, and King will probably try and steal this.
He certainly is. Can't see it, of course. So going for the battle. Actually, Strawbella gets it.
Still a win.
Yeah, pink ward's worth of gold and a bit of change. As Cardred and Rogue going to try and deal some damage to that turret. Legacy did well there. to just lose the turret potentially. Rymos is going in. Carbon's trying to bait off to the side. Juju's ulti is up, and now they know Windwall is down. This could be a dive.
This definitely could be, but they also don't know the whereabouts of Juice, and the pings have gone in the bottom side of the jungle near that red buff. They know he's nearby, don't want to take that risk. Instead, the less risky option, having 3 members nearly here.
Diving top lane, waves pushed in. Carbon did get spotted by a ward, so he'll collapse the tunnel and go back home. So Carbon still looking at every lane, it almost feels like, for some of these ganks. Just flitting between the top and mid here. Rymeister again going in. Windwall's going to look for that all-in. Choo-Choo's, though, just going to take some trade. Carbon back in again. Good ulti there. Choo-Choo's does land it in, but the tornado is charged up. Will land it in onto Carbon. Dodges the Q. Dodges the other Q. Rymeister, nice moves.
Very well done from Rymeister to be able to get out of that. The Windwall not available for him, but fancy feet is all it required. As Juves is now here to make sure that his mid laner is all right one more time.
Carbon backing off, though. Choose does just move out of the tornado hitbox. Good Windwall again there as Rymeister just wants to keep trading. Moves through it for the Q. Now Choose going to come in. Rymeister might dive here. He wants it. Good flash out from Choose. Lands in there for the last breath and will collect it.
That was just... Oh, Carbon!
Oh, great flash there from Rymeister. Gets out from under Resonating Strike. Ulti out as well. But enough flow, I think, to stay safe after last breath. And Juves now just has to be the one to get out. Rogue is there to save him with a lantern. Well played by the Sin duo.
Juves really misplayed with that flash as well, setting Rymeister up for a clean escape, not even needing the flash under that turret. Watch where Choo-Choo's flashes between 2 turrets, not even in a position for Rymeister to connect, and doesn't get hit by a turret one more time. Gets out very clean.
Yep, then a nice flash to get out from Carbon's potential kill. And no trade comes in for Legacy. So the mid laner we expected to step up here, especially down a game. Rymeister looking good in the early stages, 2-1-0. We look at Tally, he's the one with all the gold. He's well and truly charging up that Rod of Ages. But Rymeister's starting to move towards that static Shiv. He's going to hit that first item nice and quickly. And we'll see 2 different carries in some ways sort of face off here from mid and top lane.
The big problem for Legacy is they've had a 3-0 Lissandra for quite some time, but they're unable to utilize this Lissandra in the rest of the map. Stuck dealing with Chippies, and sure, controlling the lane, but Chippy still has more farm than you, even though you have 3 kills. You are stacking your Rod of Ages quicker, so you need an impactful teleport gank sooner rather than later.
Well, might look for bottom lane here. As King and Strawberry are continuing to apply pressure. Cardra keeping up nicely in CS, but you can see the sheen from King creating potential problems here in the lane. Cardra actually has a pretty early Zeal here, so wants some of the earlier attack speed. But should be seeing the pretty standard Vayne build. I imagine Rapid Fire Cannon and Infinity Edge will play a part at some point.
Definitely should be the Vayne build that we'll see. Of course, we'll look into what Cardra wants to go for. A lot of options available if he wants to be hyper-aggressive, but should be, as you mentioned, the Rapid Fire.
It's a Q there. Big Sheen empowered auto. Strawbella slaps a ward. Carbon now down towards the bottom side.
They don't know.
They do not. Snuck all the way around the back of Dragon. This could be a dive.
If they were to dive, they need to be very careful. Level 6 across the board. Chippies has his teleport.
Good ward. There's the port. They are going to go in for the dive. Port to the tower. Carbon the first target. Carbon wants it. He'll move in for the Q. He lands it, but the Lancer might be enough to save him. Rogue hooks him in here, but Strawbell's taken so much damage. That will be the first kill, and Cardra's invisibility helping out massively there as the ulti comes out onto Rogue. Cardra and Chippies with no health to speak of. A 2-for-1 trade win there for Sin.
They do get a positive trade. They're going to lose a lot of pressure onto this turret. Yasuo's rotating, so they have to back away. Oh, no, they're watching him on a ward. They haven't made a decision until Rymeister does. But a big misplay here from Legacy. Carbon didn't get to use his kick in time. Vayne being invisible, then taking the lantern. Great teamwork from Sin.
Yep, Rogue and Cardra played very well there to get Chippies out to safety. Let's watch this one again.
So Carbon, with the teleport, tries to come in. He wants to kick Cardra into the wall. Invisibility, lantern, straight away. Nothing Carbon can do. Now very mispositioned while Strawbella's under the turret, and kicks Chippies and Rogue instead of Cardra. King and Tally, they're doing damage, but it's never going to be meaningful damage until they get the Vayne dead.
Yep, and we talked about needing to have a high-impact teleport there for Tally. A 1-for-2 trade is not what he was thinking of, even though he's had such a great start to this game. Strawbella is going to find Juves right in the face there. Carbon now going to come in as well. Needs a couple more autos. He's going to land the last one. Strawbella going to keep running in, but Juves has a couple tunnels to get away to.
That's a lot of tunnels. Very, very hard to kill Orexai in his own jungle, but nice work from Strawbella to stand still, not get spotted by the sense, And now Legacy with a slight advantage. Look to push mid.
Yep, Winwell though is going to deny a lot of that push. They're all standing on the same side awkwardly. And now tower in the bottom lane is going to go down. The first structure actually goes to Sin now. As King is a little too late to try and save it. Choo-Choo's again with the poke, but Rymeister feeling just fine right now.
Rymeister very fast, has the Zeal available and the Boots one. Only going to be faster from here. A little bit harder for Choo-Choos to connect with those arrows. In saying that, the cooldown goes down a fair bit on Varus Q.
See it pretty low now. Has maxed it out, of course, so going to collect blue buff perhaps in a few minutes. He's going to go back now. Charging up that mana immune, they're going to look towards that second item here. Start really power up the Varus. Very cost-efficient build for mid Varus usually, so at some point soon, I have to think Legacy are going to try and use this team comp, but we're going to maybe get the tower in the bottom lane now.
There's an interesting dynamic between both of these teams, is that the 4-0 Lissandra is going for an Abyssal Scepter and not looking to take damage from the Lulu in the laning phase, but there's also a 2-in-1 Yasuo who's going to start dealing more and more physical damage the later that this game goes. And that raises an interesting question, because as we're looking at Yasuo's build, he appears to be going for a Trinity Force.
Yeah, it's been a while since you've seen this build.
There's a reason you don't go for this build, is that you'll be at 120% crit if you go for Infinity Edge.
It's a lot of crit.
Yeah, it's too much.
It is too much.
Some might say, when you can only crit 100% of the time, page 2 time.
Well, we'll see how the build works out. It is an old build, of course. We need to fill in that 10% crit. It was a great bridging item. Legacy, though, I'm not stopping the push. Tally's come down. He actually just walked all the way down here. This is great. Getting 2 towers is a big win here for Legacy.
Yeah. They've sent Kadra to the top lane to poke down the top turret, but you would imagine a 3-0 Lissandra made it quite difficult for Chippies.
Uh-oh, Juice tagged by the Q.
Mid's next.
Certainly is. Choo-Choo's going to line things up. Almost level 11, so level 2 ulti on the way, but it's going to be pretty hard to defend. Rymeister only gets 1 win. Well, there it is.
Varus could ult once they get this low.
Oh, Rymeister wants in. Juice goes in for the last breath onto 3. Tally, though, going to lock up Rymeister, and he is going to die. Juice low on the side there. Lansing goes out as Carbon is still chasing for that kill. He wants Juice so bad. The Wild Goat's going to deny him. Rogue, no kick available, so he can't kick him back into the team. Actually might die here as the Ignite comes down as well. Legacy only get 1 kill. They'll actually be denied the turret.
They do get denied the turret, but it was basically gifted a free kill. Watch the hook.
Oh, Chooch. Whoa, that was a crazy interaction.
Absolutely no idea what just happened.
I think Braum got hooked and traded places with Choo-Choos.
Yeah, but how does
because
that
of Stand
work?
Behind Me. I don't know.
It's like stand behind me and forcefully grabbing him behind
me. Well, I mean, because Braum... I'll explain later, but here's the game.
I don't even... No, that doesn't work. All right, Legacy, this is aggressive from Juice. Doesn't hit all targets, but Carbon dodges it, which was great. Rymeister not having resistance is going to go down very quickly, as Tally doing a lot of damage. And this is the Lulu ultimate to keep Carbon away from Juice and keep them all alive, as 4 very much blinking health bars of Legacy limp away. And hopefully the replay continues until I can see what the hell happened with this. What is this? See? What is that?
Okay. So that's actually not what I thought happened. That's interesting.
So it hooked, the hook connected onto Strawbella as she jumped.
Oh, yeah, okay, then I do know what happened.
But for some reason what happened is they were like swapsies.
Yeah. So Braum pretty much jumped onto Varus at the same time he got hooked. So the hook says you need to be displaced, but the target's no longer there. So it effectively swapped places and then displaced Chew slightly.
It doesn't...
Look,
like,
spaghetti code, not always 100% on why it works. But that's my assumption about what happened. I don't know, Rusty. I'm no genius, that's for sure.
That's a bad one.
Well, we'll sort it out later. Again, please direct your tweets about Braum and direct displacement to @RustyLol on Twitter.
Just send it to @SpawnLol. I'm sure he'll appreciate it.
There's a Legacy now. Still trying to crack this outer mid lane turret. King with the Iceborne Golem and the cooldown boots. Ready to just get annoying and throw out those Qs. Stacking up the tier as well. We did miss this here. Carbon actually going to get caught out of position. Looks for his red buff, smites it. Not enough health though, and Cardred gets the red buff and the kill.
Yeah, so we missed that while we're watching the replay. Yeah. Carbon again.
Yeah, Carbon hooks. Polymorphed up as well. Does get displaced out by Cardred. Way in the wrong position. Oh, King. There's a minion in front of him, but Drew's now going to get locked up. Auto needs one more. Stun will land. Hook there onto Strawbella, but the ulti's out from Braum. Wild Growth will keep Drew's alive for longer, and now Tally. Huge ulti onto himself to hit onto 4. Rymeister's down as well. Huge plays from Legacy.
Tally probably didn't need to ultimate himself, but better safe than sorry as he controls the zone around that outer turret of Sin. They get one, They're looking for 2, and Sin engaging onto Carbon's Lee Sin, and he's still alive.
And it's, again, a lot of what we've seen in this first game here. Not quite as clear-cut, maybe, as how Legacy played. It's been a much scrappier game, that's for sure, but every little moment it feels like the two teams go head-to-head, and Legacy just executing a bit better each and every time.
It feels like out of the madness, Sin seemed to just struggle, whereas Legacy reigned supreme. Juves gets kicked towards the rest of the team, and he is the first to go down, but Kardred's positioning was the big miss there, as he takes so much damage super quickly. Tally comes in here, flashes, and ults himself, which was good because it dodges the flay and a lot of disengage that Sin were trying to do. But if he aimed it onto Rogue, probably the same effect.
Quite possibly, but as you said, better safe than sorry, as Kardred busy trading blows with Choo-Choos in the mid lane. Doesn't really like it because the Varus poke is really starting to hurt. But this blue buff is going to go over to possibly Kardred, actually. Seems to be a reasonable target for it, so we'll collect it. Happy for the gold, if nothing else, as Rhymeister down the bottom lane.
Probably the only one that uses mana besides the Lulu. Lulu's nowhere to be spoken of.
Busy in the top lane, fighting off King. He does have the Mirror Mana transform all done now.
Yeah, that's a powerful, powerful Ezreal.
Yep, this is the Ezreal we all look at when we look at blue Ezreal. Ruthless and efficient on that item build. And King going to start to put it to work here in the top side. Sin are grouped up to try and stop this. Carbon actually gets hooked up again.
Carbon, honestly.
Yeah, just really eating hooks at this point. But can see the wards are there. Push is still ready. Tally's coming over, and Rhymeister's even moving up the river now. This could be a dangerous spot.
They have the teleport available for Tally, so all things considered, he's able to split. Juves wants it.
He wants it, but a good ulti there is going to disengage him. That's going to force a flash away now from Juves. Can't use it offensively to try and get an initiation. Rhymeister going to miss his chance there.
Yeah, I can't help but laugh that Rhymeister just walked past casually to get to the lane. Like, no one actually wanted to stop him from doing so. Legacy, they're just going to continue to poke down now. I think even defending their own turrets are going to start to be the goal here as Rhymeister,
going in for a massive play here, looking for the ultimate. Barely gets stunned. Strabella blocks actually the knockup, I think. Nicely played. But she's going to die.
But it's a casualty of war as they've got Lissandra pushing that middle lane. Juice, he's going to be able to defend, but not for a very long period of time as Sin have not stopped in this top lane.
Have now. Realize the pressure's a little too much here.
The wave clear's just everywhere on Legacy.
And everyone going to go back. Actually, no dragons at all in this game. It's been much more chaotic. So objectives have not really had time to fight around them, to be honest. As no team has dragon. Well, wouldn't be a bad time to pick one up as Tally's actually going to get the Scuttle Crab for himself.
I think the biggest miss so far has honestly just been Carbon aggressively positioning himself. Getting hit constantly by Rogue with the Thresh hooks or getting knocked up by Juves with the Rek'Sai has kind of forced Legacy out of situations where they were at a point of power. It's ruined a big part of their engage.
And like Juve said, Carbon can be over-aggressive. Does kick Rhymeister off the turret. Does get knocked up. Doesn't go in for it though. Rhymeister knows a bit better than
King's
that.
In.
King certainly is. Wants to go over. Choo-Choo's going to miss that ulti. And Legacy is sort of out of engage options with Tally behind.
Yeah, they definitely are, of course. Able to work around most of the map as Tally's trying his absolute best to not appear in the middle of the 4 versus 4 scenarios. Legacy has 4. They're content with just wave clearing, and you can really feel the onus on Sin. They're trying very desperately almost to get engagements off. Some working, some only getting one person, and some not working in their favor. So it comes down pretty heavily to execution from Sin, but they really want it. You can feel that hunger to engage.
Yeah, and Rhymeister powering up, going to start to get even further.
The Trinity.
As a carry. Yep, Trinity Force is close. Not quite done yet. But that's what he's going for. Again, it used to be a good Yasuo item, but you get 100% crit now with Static Shiv and IE.
So it's still good. You just opt into a split push style of build. Your team fighting is okay, and that's only earlier because you're still getting 100% crit. It's just that the crits won't be doing as much as you would like. Does still let you go towards a resistance type of boots and is a very strong Yasuo build around the 20 to 35 minute mark. Just effectively drops off later.
Ooh, Kardred. Barely missed by that resonating strike as Legacy will take this outer. Pretty greedy to be up there taking farm, but 80 carry is going to 80 carry. He did want it as they Sin will retaliate with a mid tower. Tally not able to defend that even with all his wave clear. And Juve's caught out. Lantern needs to ult in, but not going to go in for it. No, they'll go aggressive instead. That's going to force a kick out of Juve's Carbon. Might move it back enough for the
Watch
ulti does land. Rhymeister wants it, but King's not going to chase him down. Rhymeister looking for the knock-up. Carbon gets hooked up there as well. Tally going to go in for it, but Rhymeister's moved his way out. Strobella blocking everything off there with the Unbreakable Will, and Rogue's going to get ultied up there. Strobella still alive for so long, but Chippy's finally takes it out, but a scattered fight sees King with the shutdown, and Juves, he'll be hunted down though. Carbon will land the Q. The knock-up is there, but King's going to collect a double.
And that was a very messy fight. Rhymeister flashing forward to try and put down damage, but all they get was Strawbella. Tally can use his ultimate on Rogue, and Legacy still come out ahead in these fights. It's just the zone control that this Lissandra is putting in place. King is just playing around the outskirts very barely, I will say. Fantastic mechanics came out of King in that fight, dodging so many different knockups in rapid succession to not let Yasuo go back in, and his ultimate is still available.
No surprise at all to hear that King has still got those very sharp mechanics we saw in his rookie year. Yeah, I don't know about this one. That's an angry, angry dragon. Carbon now going to come in for help. Choose is going to get saved by his jungler, but first dragon of the game does go to Legacy.
And so we're going to see this fight again. Of course, a desperate engage or disengage option from Choo Choo's used with the chains. Keeps Rhymeister away a little bit at bay. And this is where Rhymeister starts working towards Strawbella, looks for the tornado onto King, and watch the dodge here as well. Just barely stopping, funnily enough for an auto attack, to get away from a re-engage that potentially could have turned that fight a little bit more on its head. As Tally, he used his ultimate on a support, and again, Legacy. If they can control a zone in a team fight, then they look like they're in a point of absolute power.
Yeah, and again, it's been execution in these fights that's really won the day for Legacy so far. Sin are definitely fighting back much better than they were in the first game, but still just getting edged out, it feels like. We mentioned the mechanics from King. Just feels like as a team, playing a little bit better in these very complicated fights. It is not easy to play with the Lissandra on your team, despite how powerful the champion is.
No, definitely. And having the top lane Lissandra makes it a bit more difficult as Carbon, you know, Rogue's on the map, better get hooked again.
I think he just strapped a magnet to his forehead.
He did. He's wearing a giant magnet, and it just says Rogue's name on it.
Well, Rogue looking good with the hooks, but not helping out too much here. Almost 5k up for Legacy at this point in the game. So we're well and truly at least halfway through mid-game, if not a bit further. Pressure again coming in. Rhymeister is also trying to split push, but he does not have teleport. Tally doesn't either, but this could be a little too much of a loss for Sin as Rhymeister
is walking
caught out farming
so
this
much
time.
Vision.
Yeah, you can see the pings already. King gonna have to be careful. Gonna get himself over the edge though. We'll get to safety, and Rhymeister's now caught out, but he'll walk himself back through mid lane.
This is risky. The pings are going towards the Baron area. They can't go for it. Sin still too healthy, still with all of their ultimates themselves available. And Rhymeister one more time, he's just going to go split. Tally is the one who has to deal, but Legacy...
Rhymeister's on like a counter-jungling mission.
Not just counter-jungling, he's walking over wards constantly. Like they've seen him through 3 pinks almost so far.
Well, finally regrouped with his team. But a little awkward to go all the way around, and 2 lanes are pushing top and bot here. Chippies, oh my god, that damage. Carbon wants it, he's going in. Wild Growth will land. Carbon gets condemned out of the way. And Carbon is just taking every Q.
Yeah. He's a tank least in, at the very least. He should be perfectly fine in these engages. They don't have minions here, Legacy, but they're poking and they're threatening this inhibitor turret. Waves here now. Yeah,
this is where that Varus Ezreal portion of the comp can really come to fruition. Rhymeister does put up the wind wall, but they've got to clear the wave quick, and it won't be up for the next one. Rhymeister, ooh.
No way was he following that.
Hopefully not. Ooh, King. That's a big amount of damage to eat. Lucky not to go hooked by Rogue. They're going to go in for Junes, actually. Damage is there. Carbon all the way in after the tunnel. Sorry, the lantern. Junes will get kicked out, but Carbon will die. And Junes stays alive. Now Strawbella going to get hooked up there as Rhymeister comes in and Chippies collects a double. Bit of a misplay here, and Rhymeister wants to keep going. Does land it, needs vision. Oh, no, he had it, but did not click the button.
That was very dangerous if he committed to ulting there. He did have teams to back him up, but no Lulu ultimate to keep him alive. You have to remember, Lissandra is 6-0, so committing to something that aggressive could threaten the rest of the game. At 27 minutes in, Sin, they immediately look towards the Baron to control it, as we're going to see on the other side of the screen as Juice is clearing the Baron area what went wrong in that fight. And firstly, it was Carbon pressing Q the second time. Strawbella takes the hook for the team, and here we go. Baron started from Sim.
Yeah, you can see Rhymester does hit this last NATO, but isn't going to go in for it. And this Baron is getting awfully low as he do pop back in to live. Juju's going to look for the snipe. Ulti out! It's close!
Windwall.
Cardred gets it, but the Windwall, yep, does protect them.
Windwall blocking absolutely everything just there from Legacy in their attempts to steal it. There was a real chance that was going to get stolen, honestly. The amount of damage that is coming out of Legacy's 280 carries.
Yep. Cardred did collect it, so would have been a steal if not for that wall. King now misses that blue trinket, but going to clear his way out. A nice juicy mending wave here. And all of a sudden, Sin, we're still at a gold deficit, don't forget. Find their way into a Baron and a lot more momentum here in this game. If there's ever a time for Sin to start mounting that comeback, it is going to be now, and it's just been a little too aggressive from Carbon. Juves may very well have been right at the top of this game.
If I were King right now, I'd leave that wave at like a half push, let it go super slow, control the pace of that top lane, and only work around the two that are remaining, because Rhymeister's trying really hard to split and get one pushed, but he's got to deal with Tallywacker, so he'll immediately try and avoid him. In which case, Chippies has to deal with the side push lane, and Legacy could look to teamfight.
Ooh, Tally could be in trouble. Q does land, but Rhymeister won't follow, just harassing now, weaving back in, and Cardred going to pop the damage in. Windwall's there, isn't going to go in. Tally forced to ult himself, and King actually dishing out damage on the other end as Choo-Choo's might be looking for the flank. Juves wants it, he's going to go in aggressive, but gets tagged under the tower dive. Wild Growth is getting used, but Carbon now off to the side. Ulti misses from Choos, and Rhymeister with the Lulu ulti, he's going to take out Carbon.
Could die here.
Oh, Choo-Choo's hooked up as well. But they aren't going to keep going. Choos is going to keep chasing him, but the slows are too much. Rhymeister dives back in and pops his QSS. King now going to get hooked up by Rogue. Ulti out there as the last breath goes down. Shut down onto King as Chippies claims it. And Cardred still dodging poke, does eat one.
This is so dangerous for both of these teams. If Tally had his ultimate, that was done. But the fact that Rhymeister can kite around so effectively, and fantastic use of his wind wall time and again, to really stop Legacy from getting what they're looking for. This was great poke from Rhymeister. He threatens the ultimate and saves it for so long that Tally has to ult himself. Carbon finds an opportunity here with Choo-Choo's poking them down as Juice tries to turn around. He's getting himself killed in the back lane, and watch Carbon as well, because he's found himself in a horrendous position getting hooked from Thresh. Again, goes down. This is where Legacy look like they can win and turn it back around. Rogue, one more hook. Tally tries his best, but Rhymeister, look at this, so aggressive every single time, and the Flay sets him up because the Tornado doesn't even connect. Pays for his life with it, but seriously, these fights are so close that you could never pick it until the final person dies.
Yep, you can see Dragon did get collected as well for Sin in that replay, so they'll have a big buff to their stats now as well, and Legacy's gold lead starting to diminish here. And Rhymeister, that big carry, is powering up and playing excellently on a signature pick of his. Carbon is going to sweep through this bottom side of the jungle and clear out what vision he can. And Legacy is still looking for a point here, though, yet to crack the base. They have 6 towers. That's all the outers and all the tier 2s, but looking for that very important inhibitor turret as Rhymeister is continuing to be annoying and split push out these waves.
Yeah, he has to recall, of course. The rest of his team is trying to deal with Legacy now, giving their best efforts towards sieging. Until he's there, they can.
Yeah, Rhymeister now going to come back in. Crit down the minions. They might just fight here. Juice is going to go in for it. Gets the knock up. They are going to move in. Great ulti there. As Rhymeister gets kicked out. Strawbella a little low. Choo-Choo's going to move poke back in. Couple cooldowns burnt, but some key ones still remain.
And this comes down to the wind wall again. That fight was going to be done for Sin. That Tallywacker engage was threatening them. But the wind wall blocks the claw. Legacy just confined to poking, and they can't even get these turrets.
No, King going to trim the wave in the top side with his ulti. Legacy know they have to back and prevent some of the waves that are starting to push out. You can see the pings there from Sin. They're trying to hunt Legacy down. King might be a little too far out, but he does move back towards the south, towards his teammates. Will now find a spot to recall, but again, initiative now back for Sin. They look to charge down mid lane.
I wouldn't blame Rhymeister for going a Sterix Gauge type of build here. He's got the damage well and surely there. Carbon.
Caught maybe. Choo-Choo's going to come back in. Good wind wall again. Tornado's not quite there, but Sin are aggressive once more. Rhymeister's going straight in.
Means business. Sin have got almost his turret.
Good hook. Carbon. Trouble there, gets poked out by the Yasuo. Tally threatens, but does not follow the path.
Cardred mispositioning for these fights at the moment. Needs to walk around and group with the rest of his team because Rhymeister is putting in overtime for the Sin AD carry.
Certainly is. As we're almost back to even. 33 minutes in, still 3K up for Legacy, but it feels pretty much the same relatively late into this one. You can see major items completed for everyone. It's just all about who's going to play this better. And unlike last game, Legacy don't have the double TP to fall back on for a bit more of that macro game. They pretty much have to play straight up in the fights, and to be perfectly honest, Sin have won the last few.
Yeah, they absolutely have. And I mean, Yasuo is just coming up trumps. The biggest thing is they've got the double QSS as well, and the Mikhails to deny a lot of the engage, especially from Tally, who is their 7-0-2 hyper carry Lissandra. They've got a 4-1 and 3 Ezreal to fall back to, and King has been putting in a lot of work himself. You've got to give credit where it's due. It's just that Legacy, honestly, it's their front line. Barely exists.
Well, the damage is pretty high at this point, and we've seen quite a lot of carries across teams here. It is more of a standard, I guess, 2.5 threats here for Sin.
Lulu Yasuo is amazing.
Certainly is. So Rymast feels nice and comfy. Isn't going to get the red, though. Windwall's over. Ooh, goes for the croak. Not sure if that Windwall was intentional, but I'll give it to him.
Get vision of
of course.
First, I believe.
Didn't quite make it over, unfortunately.
No.
But here's the push once more for Sin. Choo-choo's getting those legs in work, moving up towards the top. But Sin have so much vision on that side.
Yeah.
Baron is back in 50 seconds.
And they got the vision at the right time. It is just brute forcing their way through Legacy's jungle.
Whoa.
Legacy going to try and get it back, I'd hope.
Looking to. That's a ulti sliding past that bottom wave. We'll trim it down nicely. Kadra looks to return down there. And maybe clean that up for himself. But don't have too long here. Big Baron will be back up soon. Very important objective to hold on to, given that Dragon has been pretty much ignored for most of this game. Each team has one. That's the only one. Because 5 will be far too late in this one.
Yeah, well, it's near impossible to get near the 5 mark now. Legacy 2 surprisingly well to keep that ward there. Second sweeper used to clear it out.
Sin, they do have vision. At least on their blue side. Chu's going to go back. Also a carry for the team. Don't forget his damage.
Stance.
Yeah, not too bad. I think he realizes that they're gunning for him every fight.
Yeah.
Wants a bit more of a defensive AD item.
Slight buff as well on patch 6.1, an extra 3% damage reduction, I believe.
Nice bit of CDR as well, so
yeah.
Going to be at max, I believe, or very close to, probably with a couple runes helping out. Oh, with blue buff as well. And now Sin just wandering lazily into the bottom lane. Rymeister. We keep saying his name with good reason. He's just starting everything in this game.
Everywhere you see this Yasuo,
nice
he impacts it positively.
Oh, hook. Strawbella. Not really the target you want. Pops up the unbreakable wall. Oop, Juice tagged. Carbon not going to go in this time. No, I don't think so. Carbon just chasing him out.
That is good. Forcing them that far back and being able to clear the wave potentially that far. If Sin all recall, Legacy have absolute control of the Baron area. And it's a very good time for them to reset, work around that Baron area, push out some waves so that they're in control, and look to get Sin out of position.
Well, we're going to start charging down mid lane now. Dragon is up in 30 seconds, but it would be a bait more than anything else, either for the Baron or for a team fight. Rymeister charging back in though. He's got a wave to work with here. Finds 2. Doesn't take it.
No way. Rymeister should not be the one engaging these fights because he will die instantly to the burst of a Lissandra, Ezreal, and Varus. He needs to let Juves go first, either follow up the Juves knockup or look for his own entrance after Juves goes in because they've got that front line there.
Good blue steal. No, Juves secures it. I mean, definitely good to deny it from Legacy because no one in his team really needs it. That would have been great there for King to collect or Tally, but neither of them do steal away that buff. And around this Baron area, at a very crucial time, could make all the difference here. Major buffs are up. Yes, we're going to go ahead and solo the Dragon. This is just more pressure for Sin. This game, they know it's going to go quite late. It's already 37 minutes in. 7 minutes ago in Game 1, the game was done. And Legacy had chalked that one up.
There is a 100 CS difference almost between the mid laners right now. But look at the difference between top laners and AD carries from Legacy against Sin. And that is where the major contrast comes back and where this 2,000 gold lead is suddenly coming from. That far ahead on Lissandra, not long until full build, needs to make something happen.
Yep. It's just been the fights that haven't really been going Legacy's way, and we've had a very subdued 5 minutes or so with both teams just trying to find the perfect angle for the fight, but something's going to break soon here. Buffs are up, pushes are starting. Rymeister again has no teleport. Kali does have his, so he has to really make ground here.
This is not a situation where the teleport is actually of all that much substance, because he can 1 versus 1 that tally, that Lysandra pretty simply.
Here comes the TP right from base, actually. This is going to mean Rymeister all the way out of position, charging with the home guards. Can't stop that one. And that's going to be broken mid in here.
He should be hitting the base. He's going to start hitting the turret now from the looks of it. Legacy can't recall. Sin are going to try and stop them.
He's got Choo-Choo's ult. That's it, 1 disengage ulti. Rymeister might just break here. Need to start hitting the recall button. Might be too late. Rymeister already chucking down the turret.
Rymeister could hit the base turrets if they don't recall. So they've got 2 members looking to address the issue. King.
Oh, King cancelled. Now Chippy's going to come in. That's a good flash out of the flavor. He needs to keep going. Juves is going to knock him up, and King doesn't really have anywhere to go. Polymorph is there. He will get popped, and he's dead to the burst of the Lulu as now Strawbella going to get caught out. We'll put the shield up at Cardred. Plenty of damage as a hook lands in again. Rogue does find it. Now going to look for Choo-Choo's. Kicked out of the way there by Carbon. But Sin just continuing to apply pressure, and Rymeister is still in that base.
Rymeister's not going to stop because he can kill Tallywacker if he is not in position to deal with it. What were you doing, King? Recalling in the middle of the blue buff pit forces you to use your E over the wall. They knew you were there and has to flash straight away. It just dies.
Yep.
Such a big mistake.
Bad news there.
Choo-Choo's again.
Also caught out. Does have a flash. Does have to use it. Carbon here. Cardra going to follow. And this is easy pickings here for Sin. Rymeister going to charge his way in. Banshee's Veil will cancel 1. But there's a kill onto Choo-Choo's. Legacy are falling to pieces.
Stop recalling in situations, in positions that you will die in. You don't know if they have vision there or not. Why would you go back there?
Well, getting a little lazy perhaps, or just a bit greedy. But this is going to be a Baron by the looks of things over to Sin. Carbon is up, but he's going to a long way away. He's actually off to the side. Never mind. Looking for the steal. He actually kind of has to steal this. Q goes in. Rogue can't hook him. Windwall's there though. Carbon rides in. Looks for the steal. Condemned into the wall. Baron is low. Not quite there. And Lysandra does get a tally. Finds the steal.
Carbon and Tally work together. Communication, because they stopped hitting the Baron at 1300 health. Carbon knew he had to try and get it lower, and so they coupled together to do enough damage to actually get it down. Watch the smite at the same time as Lysandra's E connecting. Really good from Legacy with communication to steal that. Unfortunate for Sin as they had complete control, potentially the game from that Baron.
Well, the thing there maybe is that Legacy at least hold off what looked like a very terrible situation. Late into the game, he can't afford to make those mistakes. And again, it's Sin that are finding these opportunities. Legacy, we saw their aggression start to get punished towards that mid-game. It feels like late game, the mentality's still there, and it's costing them.
No more laziness is forgiven. We've got a triple
Not this late, no.
lifesteal item build from this Ezreal. He should not be dying anytime soon. It entirely comes down to him being able to kite, so there's no forgiving mispositioning on King. Choo-Choo's is a no mobility champion. He gets less forgiven for bad positioning. It needs to be impeccable play from Legacy, or Rymeister will roll over them with this Yasuo.
I've seen exactly what he's been doing. Ignoring that Infinity Edge for now.
He won't get it.
Yeah, going for that Bruiser build, I guess.
Yeah. It's a split push build, going for the Trinity Force, opposed to an Infinity Edge. You can see his utility in teamfights is still very evident, but that's solely because he's got a Rek'Sai and Lulu to supplement his power.
And powerful he is. Level 18. 4 items strong. Like the boot choice there as well.
Yeah.
Bit of extra speed on the Alacrity. And Sip Minion's going to get challenged here by Sin. Pretty easy to clear out for Van Yasuo. As far as late game damage goes, they have 2 pretty hard carries. And Lulu is not tickling, that's for sure, with 4 items also.
Yeah. Lulu doing a lot of damage, actually. Needs to be respected. And funnily enough, not being respected if you have a look at the item builds. Sort of, I would say they're getting magic resistance now. Carbon's build was exclusively armor. Stopped to get magic resistance because of the damage that was coming
Charlie
out.
Goes in, flash in, huge ulti there with the 4-man, sorry, off the snare. But he's dead, has to ulti himself. Now Chippy's going to go down as Cardred. Barely misses being caught by the snare. Drews could be the next target there. Gets low, but face of the mountain might save him. Slow will miss, hook will land. And Legacy still chasing in. That was very close, as Chippies is the only casualty.
Tally was less than a second away from being killed before he got his ultimate off. Of course, successfully does self-cast the ultimate, stays alive. Good work here from this Legacy lineup. Looking for the pick and finding it successfully. Juves almost dying as well, gets out with his life. And now, the middle inhibitor dead. The minions pushing the top lane with Legacy. They can look to siege this difficult to execute, though, against Rymeister.
Yeah, they can't wait too long. Those minions are going to do work in the bottom half of that lane. Jibbies is up in 20 seconds. Rymeister goes in. That's a little too deep. Finds the ulti there for the flow, but it's nowhere near enough.
That was desperate and dangerous from Sin. I'm not entirely sure what the communication was there. They probably could have defended this. Now that's 2 inhibitors down and 2 members down. Jibby's just spawning.
And this power play is quite long. 50 seconds till Rymeister's back. Cardred has to go massive. Goes straight into the team. Juves gets kicked up by Cardred. He's going to move in. Goes on the rampage as he takes out Braum. The teleport's coming back in though. Tally is very threatening and Juves, he's dead. Choo-Choo collects it. Now Tally gonna move in, finds the ulti onto Rogas. Cardred's zoned away. King looking for the 1v1 just out of the bottom. Puts the blade of the rookie. Cardred's low, but Choo-Choo collects him, and that's game. Mistakes just cost Sin too much here.
It hit a point in the game where it was so late and you couldn't afford a single mistake. Sin make one, and it costs them the entire game because that mistake snowballed again and again. Legacy 2-0.
Yeah, 2-0 there, but the last game balanced on a knife edge. As Sin, a very respectable fight in that second game.